Welcome to Reclaiming Me, a trauma-informed podcast helping women with complex PTSD heal the lasting impact of childhood attachment wounds from parents and caregivers, so you can finally release people-pleasing and perfectionism and learn to trust in relationships, beginning with the one you have with yourself. I'm your host, Cindy Payne, therapist, trauma specialist, and a woman who has walked this path both personally and professionally.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Reclaiming Me. This is our Wednesday midweek reframe. And in our last conversation, if you listened to Monday's full-length episode, we spent some time unpacking the deep roots of false responsibility, the ways in which we learned to be emotional shock absorbers before we even knew our own names. And today I want to pull us out of the family of origin stuff and just drop us right into a Saturday night in the suburbs. I want to talk about how this survival wiring shows up when your teenager calls you from the side of the road. So, story time. So recently, one of my twins, I'm going to call him my quote, soft twin, lovingly. He is the one who has always been more outwardly sensitive, even though they're both extremely sensitive beings, but he's more outwardly sensitive. And he got his very own first traffic ticket. He has been doing Grubhub delivery for his senior year of high school, and he really enjoys this. He likes to just drive around and listen to his music. And I've cautioned him many times about late deliveries and, that the later he's out driving around, the more likely it is that he could get pulled over by a cop, because the cops in our area really are looking for things like, underage drinking, partying, things like that. So just be really careful with it. And when I give him this advice, he does this thing where he's like, yeah, mom, I know. But it's just like, I'm the annoying mom, trying to, I guess, protect him. And he was out on Saturday doing a late night Grubhub delivery, and he rolled a stop sign. And when he called me, I could tell that he was a little nervous about it, but he just wanted to just rip the Band-Aid. And he's like, oh, mom, you'll never believe, this jerk cop. And, he's going into all the ways in which it was unfair. And, that he knows that he should have been more cautious, but also this just really sucked because he was having a great weekend and he was just trying to make a little extra money. And now all of the money that he had earned from his Grubhub deliveries were going to go towards this traffic ticket. And I have to say that it was almost instantaneous that my old wiring inside of me was screaming at me, fix it, just fix it for him. And because he tends to be a little outwardly sensitive, I think I'm a little bit more predisposed to want to swoop in and nurse his wounds, so to speak. I really wanted to swoop in. I wanted to blame that cop right along with him. I wanted to absorb all of my son's agitation so that he wouldn't have to feel it. And my brain started that false responsibility loop. It's really wild how even after all these years of retraining, it still can happen. And here's what the loop was saying to me. Did I not monitor his driving enough when he was learning to drive? Should I have warned him more about the intersection? Should I have stayed up, and demanded that he had been home right as his 12 o'clock curfew hit? All the ways that I could find fault in myself that this had happened to him. It's crazy making. But as I stood there, I noticed something deeper starting to form inside of me. And it was this patience and, more importantly, how I was showing up versus how I was raised. Because I remember being a teen and having to hide a lot of things. Hide my mistakes, hide my feelings, hide even the seemingly small mishaps because I knew that my grandmother was going to have an outsized reaction. Because in my home, growing up, a mistake didn't lead to a lesson. It led to her overwhelm, which eventually led to my shame and secrecy. I learned that the only way to be safe was to never be a problem. So, coming back to the present day, this was a moment with my son where I realized in my pause that I had a choice here. I could join in his agitation and make it a crisis, or I could lecture him and tell him, I told you so, and how could you have done that? And now look what you're going to have to do, and let my frustration and anger become, worked out on him. But honestly, I didn't really feel that anger at all, which, yeah, that's growth, right? Like I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, well, this sucks and I want to protect him and I want to defend him. And also, okay, it was a traffic ticket, right? Like, isn't this how he learns to not roll the stop sign and maybe do more deliveries earlier in the night? And I chose in this situation to move through my own physical discomfort. And that was really the tightening in my chest that says that anytime something happens with one of my children, and they're upset, I'm not safe. And I listened to that. I noticed that. I watched that, and I just stayed present. I did not patrol his emotions. I did not join the bandwagon of anger. I just really allowed him to sit with his own frustration. And I was like, yeah, that sucks. And I even, kind of joined in and told him about my own, tickets growing up as a teenager. I even shared about how I just got pulled over and got a warning a few weeks ago. And at the end of the conversation, there was like this relief and this lightness. And he was like, God, like, I'm not going to roll that stop sign again. And I'm going to have to go upstairs now and get online and figure out how to take defensive driving. And I guess I'll pull some money from my stocks and pay off this stupid ticket. And I just sat there and I was like, yeah, man, it sucks. Right. And then we hugged and he was good. I mean, he was annoyed. He's going to continue to probably rehash that story a lot. But because I stayed an anchor, he didn't have to hide. He didn't have to retreat into this secrecy that I had to growing up to protect me from his mistake. And so when thinking about this midweek reframe, I wanted to give the listeners a prompt for this week. If you are noticing that you're struggling to discern false responsibility from true responsibility, and then what to do about that once you do discern that it is indeed false responsibility, I want to invite you to start small. And the prompt for the week is, what is one thing, again, that I can release responsibility for today? And for me, that night, it was releasing the responsibility of my son's lesson. I released the need to make him feel better so that I could feel better. And what I did instead was I just met him in his emotions. I just really saw him I saw him feeling annoyed and I named it. I helped him name it. And I wasn't doing it from a place of, I'm going to name this for you so that I can calm down. It was like, I'm going to name this for you because how confusing, like you're just learning your world at 18 years old. You're learning how to interact with law enforcement. You're learning how to name your own complicated emotions that you're having with something. You're learning how to adjust your decisions based on how you're moving through the world. So it was not about making me feel any different. So the reframe is that when we release responsibility, it is not about doing less, but it is more about unlearning these survival roles that were never yours to begin with. So when you stop performing safety for others, you then create space for them to actually grow. And you prove to your nervous system that someone can be upset or make a mistake, and the foundation of your world does not have to crack. So as you go through today, I invite you to look for your own stop sign moment, no pun intended. So again, here's the practice that I want you to consider. I want you to notice the urgency. So when you feel that fix it pressure begin to bubble up inside of you, and again, it usually starts somatically with like a tightness in your chest, or I used to get this heat in my face whenever one of my kids got in trouble or messed up. I would feel this heat flooding me and I would feel my ears start to ring. And I've worked through that enough now with 3 boys. You'll get the opportunity to do that, right? Where there's been enough instances where I can go like, okay, like this isn't happening to me. This is happening to them, right? And when I feel that fix it shame pressure, I can ask myself, and I invite you to ask yourself, am I trying to solve their problem? Or am I trying to soothe my own old fear, and it's an old fear, of an outsized reaction? So again, in this case, was I trying to solve his problem of the traffic ticket? Or was I trying to soothe that fear in me of my grandmother's outsized reaction? And if I can notice that urgency, then I can move to number 2, which is choosing patience. Can I stay in the room with their discomfort without absorbing it? And this is perhaps probably the most challenging part at first, because what you're doing is you're practicing anchoring and grounding in real time. And for some of us who've had complex PTSD, that's going to take a lot of stops and starts. And when I first started doing this work with my own children, I would have to say, like, I'm having a reaction right now, and I want you to know that it's not about you. This is my stuff. But again, it took me many, many mess ups and many, many years to even be able to voice that to my own kids. But I do it pretty regularly now. Like if I have like what were you thinking? I have to go back and I have to give myself a chance to repair that piece and put words to it for them, because again, I do not always get this correct. So please know that. So number 1, notice the urgency. When you're feeling the pressure, ask yourself, are you trying to solve their problem, or are you trying to soothe your own old fear of an outsized reaction? Number 2, choosing patience. Can you stay in the room with their discomfort without absorbing it? And then finally, number 3, breathe. Breathe. Remind your inner teen, it's okay to have a mess. We do not have to hide anymore. And then if you need to, you can offer that to the person that you're in the interaction with, like, it's okay. It's all right. We screw up sometimes. Damn, that sucks. I hate that you have to use your money for that now. But what I'm not doing is I'm not bringing my own shame into the room. So again, you do not have to release the big things today. Okay. Just one stop sign is enough. So I invite you again, pick something really small, see if you can get some good practice with it of noticing the urgency, choosing the patience, and taking some breaths and reminding that inner self, it's okay. We do not have to hide anymore. I hope that you will join me back next week. I have something a little different planned. And if you are a Noah Kahan fan, he is a singer-songwriter, you're going to want to tune in next week. His new album dropped this past weekend, and I have to tell you, it has been on repeat in my house and probably will continue to be on repeat for a long time. He writes beautifully about complex trauma. So I hope you will join me back next week. And even if you aren't a Noah Kahan fan, you could still get a lot from next week's episode. So take care of yourself, take care of one another, and I will see you back next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you leave feeling a little lighter, a little more grounded, and a little closer to trusting yourself and your inner experience. If this episode resonated with you, please follow or subscribe so future conversations can meet you when they're needed. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, consider sharing this episode with them. That's one of the ways this work reaches the people who need it the most. You can find me on Instagram at Cindy Payne Rooted, and you can also visit me at cindypayne.com, where you'll find all episode links, blog posts, practice updates, and a free people-pleasing style quiz designed to help you notice your patterns with more compassion. And remember, every small step towards healing, self-trust, and presence matters. You are worthy of this journey. Thanks, everyone.